All right, hi folks. We are going to get started now. My name is Jason Gumper. I'm the editor at msdynamicsworld.com, and I hope everyone can hear me now. I think you can. Today's session is all about mastering PCI compliance for Dynamics 365 and AX. And our presenters are Tim Kahn of SK Global Software and Chester Ritchie of Nodus Technologies. Tim is CTO and co-founder at SK Global. He is the head of development, and his passion is in building some quality software that empowers Treasury and accounting teams across the world. Tim is the original author of many of SK Global Software's products, and his 20-plus years of experience bring an in-depth appreciation of your everyday challenges. Chester Ritchie is president of Nodus Technologies. He was the creator of the leading SMB POS system, RetailStar. He was also the creator of XCharge, now part of Global Payment Systems. He worked for Bain Capital at WorldPay, the largest international payment processor and largest fintech IPO. He's an executive member of payment organizations PCI Security Council and Electronic Transaction Association. It's great to have them both with us today. And we also invite your questions. You can enter them at any point using the Q&A block that you should see to the right of the slides. Without any further delay, I'm going to hand things off to Tim Kahn to get us started. So, Tim, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Jason. Thank you very much. Let me jump ahead to my slides. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I just want to give you a little background on SK Global Software first. We're a strategic Microsoft Dynamics Global Strategic ISV designated by Microsoft because of the value that we bring to the solution. As Jason said, well over 20 years of experience in this area. We have our banking and treasury automation suite we'll talk a little bit about, but of course the focus today is about our new credit card functionality. Some of it's new, some of it's been around a bit as well, and how we've leveraged what Chester has done with Nodus Technologies as well. So our solutions, as you'll see today, are fully integrated with Dynamics AX and 365, and we offer that through our reseller channel around the globe. Just one comment is that everything we're going to see today, we're going to see some things in D365, we're going to see some things in 2012. Just note that the functionality that you see in either is available on the other as well. So depending on which camp you're in at the moment or where you're going to be, feel free that the solutions we offer are available on both sides. We've had a long, close collaboration with Microsoft over the years. We were one of the first ISVs to have our solution available in D365. We're published on AppSource. As if you go out to the Microsoft AppSource portal, you can see our logo out there in terms of our solutions there. Well over 1,500 customers in the whole overall Dynamics space. The solution did originate in Solomon Software, Dynamics SL in the Treasury area. About 6 years ago, we brought it over to AX. Well over 330 customers running our solution in the Dynamics AX space. We're also very proud of our 12-year history of earning the Microsoft President's Club Award, which is given to the top 5% of the Microsoft partners. And just last July, we were honored with the 2017-2018 Inner Circle Award, that's given to the top 1% of Microsoft partners. So we're very proud of our long-term relationship with Microsoft, our partners, and our customers in terms of serving that community. So I'm going to talk about our credit card solutions, again, for Dynamics AX 2012 and Dynamics 365 for Operations Enterprise Edition. So as Chester will talk about in a few minutes, we'll talk about our strategic relationship with Nodus Technologies. They have a solution called PayFabric, which you can go to their website and see that. What it is the cloud-based secure PCI wallet. It also has numerous gateways and processors that it supports. The PCI compliance piece is very, very big for us. Clearly, it's very big for Chester and his team. Very important to have that secure foundation when you're processing credit cards. As we get further into the presentation, that'll become more and more clear to you. So if you go out in terms of security, PayFabric is PCI compliant. If you go to the Visa Registry of Service Providers, you'll see PayFabric. Nodus and Chester and his team keep their solution current and verified by Visa and by MasterCard. Likewise, the service provider list out on MasterCard shows the PayFabric technology. So Very important that we have that secure payment vault, keeping those credit cards outside of the ERP system. A very big piece to keep your scope of PCI compliance down to a minimum. In terms of flexibility, the PayFabric Nodus site gives us access to numerous gateways and processors. Well over 70 processors are available. So that's very good news, meaning that you can shop for the best possible rate. You don't want to build an integration to one gateway or processor, get locked in, you have that rate, and now you find that there's another gateway or processor can give you a better deal. But now what do? You go rewrite that integration yet again. Again, with this solution that we provided, you do not have that issue. So let's take a look at our overall solution stack. I have that shown in a cloud there, but for those of you on AX 2012, just envision that that's your AX 2012 solution, or D365. As I mentioned, what we're going to talk about is common to both areas. So we covered these three main functional areas within AX, D365, and the AR area, capturing credit card transactions against AR transactions. The project service order area we'll be adding by the end of the year. I'll show that and talk about that in a few minutes as well. And then also, of course, the sales order and call center in the sales order area. So how does this all work? So PayFabric by Nodus is a PCI compliant vault in the cloud. It's in the Amazon Web Cloud, multi-tenant. It's where the credit cards are stored. And the other component, as I mentioned, is access to these various gateways and then the processors. So this is where all the credit card data is stored and all that PCI compliance is enforced. And then what we've created in conjunction with Nodus are the integrations to these various areas in AX or D365. So starting with AR, we have what's called ePay integration, and that provides a customer portal where customers can log in and see their invoices that are automatically presented to them, and at the same time maintain their credit card wallets in the PayFabric cloud. I'll talk a bit more about that in just a second. And now when we get over to project service order and call center, we're leveraging the built-in payment service connector. So as you all know, there's a payment service connector. You've been familiar with it in 2012. That's been supported by the Dynamics Online Payment Services, or DOPS. And also, as you know, that's being deprecated in January of 2018. So what we've done is built a connector, an alternate connector to PayFabric. And that's what we'll use through what we call CCA, or credit card integration, that ties those credit card transactions either in project service order and in sales order or call center to that same wallet, the PCI compliant wallet in the cloud. We'll be demonstrating that shortly. Then also, if you do have an e-commerce site of some sort, PayFabric has a very robust API. They're tightly integrated with Sana, and then they've done work with Magento as well. But no matter what your e-commerce site might be, you can install the PayFabric API and authorize transactions on the e-commerce site as you take the order. And then presumably you have some kind of integration back into AX, into the sales order area to capture that sale. And at that time, we can pass that authorization token back into AX or D365, and then we would capture against that authorization token upon shipping. Again, that works equally well for sales order and or call center. So let's take a look at the ePay Advantage portal. We'll start off with that. So this is one piece of that puzzle that I put together before, and so we'll talk in more detail about the ePay integration through a customer portal working with PayFabric. So the way this process starts is in Dynamics AX or D365. And what we have here is we have invoices that are being posted in your Dynamics system. The invoices can be free text invoices, sales order invoices, or project invoices. Any of the invoices types that are available. As they are posted automatically, they get sent out to the customer portal. This is a website where the invoices are maintained in perpetuity, so this is really what we call the bill presentment part of this solution. No longer do you have to be emailing invoices to folks. They are now out there on the portal for them to review, see 24/7. At the same hand, we can send an email to our customers and attach the invoice as it gets posted as well. So that's all optional, but again, it's always out here on the portal. At this point, the customers using the portal, they log into the portal. All of the registration aspects of a customer getting on board is all automated simply by signing up in AX 365 or 2012. But the customer then on the portal can go and maintain their wallet in the PayFabric cloud, this one common payment vault. So at some point they decide, well, I want to pay this particular invoice or multiple invoices. What they do is reference their wallet entry in PayFabric. PayFabric then goes out to the gateway and goes to the issuing bank, and they capture that transaction against the customer's account. The other part of the integration, though, as soon as that approval occurs, the portal automatically reaches back and touches back into D365 and AX. It generates a payment journal and generates a payment and settles those invoices fully automatically. We have it set up such that this payment journal can be done once a day, and so you can be capturing those payments all day long, and then at midnight there's an option actually to auto-post the journal. So the beauty of the solution is a no-touch solution for your employees. Invoices automatically, as upon posted, go to the portal. Customers can maintain and view their invoices and their payments. They can maintain their wallet independently, and then when approvals are done and when they make those payments, automatically the payments come back into D365 or AX 2012 and updates a payment journal. In addition to customers maintaining this process, actually your own employees can go to the portal themselves as a CSR or customer service representative, and they can make payments on behalf of their customers. If you like, you can have them also actually maintain the credit card information as well. All of those are options under security control. Clearly, though, those of you familiar with PCI Compliance, which is the focus today, is that if the credit cards are stored off-site, which is, of course, in all our solutions is the case, and your employees do not have to maintain or manage those 16-digit numbers, the scope of your PCI Compliance is much, much reduced. PCI Compliance is, Chester will speak about, I'm sure, is not only the software has to be PCI compliant, but also your procedures need to be PCI compliant as well. So if you can have your employees maintaining their 16-digit credit cards and it's off-site, the reduction of the scope of your PCI compliance is tremendously reduced. Another feature that's available with the portal is your customers can actually set up an auto pay function such that they can set up to say when my invoices arrive at the portal upon maybe invoice due date, at that point I will automatically have the portal make the payments for me. So I just reference a default credit card item. I can set a default credit card wallet item, and therefore when that due date arrives, then automatically the payment gets made and sends it on. So in that way, your customer is even involved in the automation of the process. So there's a lot of great features with the solution, as we'll talk about in a second. I'm going to jump over and actually show how this might work in Dynamics 365. Again, remember this, what I'm going to show you is also available in 2012. So let's go over here into D365. We're going to go into accounts receivable first. Take a look at our customer list. And we'll come down to our customer forced wholesales. And as we come in here on the payment tab, this is the maintenance of your customer record. If we come down in here, what we'll see is there's an ePay customer field that's been added. This is how you designate which of your customers will be using the portal to manage their invoices and to make those payments. So the customer can be marked with yes or no. We also have an option yes by filter, meaning that you can set up a generic filter to say every customer that has certain credit card terms codes, or every customer that's in a group or any region or whatever, they can be set up to automatically be coded as an ePay customer. So that can be done when you first install the system, or can also be done as your users are adding customers. If it's set by filter, they will automatically be marked as ePay customers. When that happens, from that point on, all invoices that are posted automatically go to the portal, and also so the open invoices go to the portal. So in my demo, I've already created a free text invoice and posted it to Forest Wholesales. And so now I'm going to go over to the ePay portal. So this is that website portal I was mentioning. The layout of this is all completely configurable, the logo, the colors, the graphics. Some folks put cross-sell, upsell information, special offers that might be there. If you have another customer portal of any sort, this can be used as a single sign-on, so you can bypass actually this login. If you're already having folks log in on another portal, you could just have their bill presentment and payment portal would come directly into this screen here. So I'm coming into my main screen, which shows me the invoices that are available to be paid. These are all open invoices. This is one that I added this morning prior I posted it. You can drill down and see if there's any discount. If you can turn that on and off if you don't want to allow for discounts if it's paid by credit card. And if you click on the invoice itself, then you can see the actual invoice. If you've customized your invoices in 2012 or D365, the invoice itself is now available for viewing out on the portal. So this is the bill presentment side of the house. So automatically these invoices are there 24/7 for your customers to see them. So let's say I could say to pay that in full, or say I'm not so generous today, I'm only going to pay $50 of it. I can do a partial payment. Of course, if you have a fantastic customer, there's an option to say select all. Wouldn't we wish if all our customers were like that? So now we'll just put $50 just for example. So I'm going to scroll down here, and now you also can do a prepayment amount if you so desire and put additional notes along with that prepayment. Very straightforward. The user simply then selects that they want to make the payment. Now here we have a wallet entry that's been saved for this particular customer. They presumably maintain that wallet. If they need to edit it, they're going to go out, and this now is what's called an iframe that goes out to the PayFabric portal itself, is where the credit card information is stored. Again, an iframe is used to isolate the capture of the information from your ERP system. This is a direct data channel over the internet to the PayFabric portal. Of course, it's encrypted during that transfer. So I'm going to come in here, enter a CVV code, enter here. I have an option to pay later, so I could pay tomorrow, next week, or I could pay now, and I hit submit. This is now going out to the portal, the PCI compliant portal, and now we get a confirmation back from the portal that the payment has been accepted. At the same time, there's an option that this would be sent to the customer as an email, so they have a record of that particular transaction as well. A lot of configuration options here to really fine-tune how you want the portal to look and work. So now I'm going to come back into D365. I'm going to come down to our Treasury Automation Suite, which is an embedded application, part and parcel of your application. It's not a remote external piece. That's what we call it, an embedded application. In this area, we have a queue that manages all the transactions that go out and come back. And so what we have here is the original transaction that sent it out to the ePay portal. This is built upon an AX batch job, which now has a cycle time of every minute. So within very shortly, we should have another record here. It comes right now. The payment came now back from ePay, came back into our system. And I can drill in here to see the payment journal that was created. So this created a standard AR payment journal. Again, nothing external. You could go straight into AR journals and you'd see the same journal here. And if we go into lines, now we'll have the transaction here that was just paid out on the web. And then this would have gone and settled that particular invoice. One or more invoices would be automatically settled. So this journal was created automatically. It's sitting here. As the day goes on, you'd see more payments collect. And then there's an option, as I mentioned, we have an option to automatically have this post at the end of the day, and then the next day a new journal would open. So that's the ePay product, bill presentment and payment on the web. Credit cards and debit cards are used, and also ACH can be used to do a direct debit against the customer as well. So let's take a look at Credit Card Advantage. This is the other solution. This is the solution that's really the DOPS replacement. And of that overall stack I showed you, this is now going to encompass these two areas again through the payment services connector. So let me go over to 2012 for those of you on 2012. Again, remember this is also the same in D365. So in 2012, I'm going to come over to accounts receivable, and let's take a look at the payment services setup. This is where you set up your payment connectors. This currently is if you have DOPS. This is where your DOPS connector would be set up. But what you're going to now find with our solution, they'll have the SK Global Pay Fabric connector. That will now allow us to be wired into the Pay Fabric hub, as we've mentioned. When this gets installed, you get then the options of all the various gateways and the processors that are available on Pay Fabric. You could set up different connectors for different gateways. So if you have something in one currency, something in another that's better, you can allow for that. All the standard AVS or CVV setups are all available as well. So at this point, I like to use the analogy of in AX, there's a wiring to handle sales order and call center processing for credit cards. And that wiring has been built into AX 2012 since about R2. And what we've done is basically put the power cord from the outside of the utility company power cord to the Pay Fabric connector versus to the DOPS connector. So if you're using DOPS today, there will not be virtually any training required because what we do is leverage what exists there. We also are going to add some more features that we'll talk about here at the end of the presentation. So here we have the setup. Again, this is all standard AX out of the box, whether it's 2012 or D365, level 2, level 3 support. We'll talk about that. So again, that's how we wire into 2012. Let's go over to sales and marketing. We'll open up a sales order. And I've created a sales order here that's open. Is this the one I had? I think I had, yep. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go take a look at the sales order itself. And this, again, of course, is standard setup. In the header record, as you may know, this is where you designate the payment terms being credit card. And then here we would have the credit card numbers. So these are credit card numbers that are now stored in the Pay Fabric vault as opposed to in DOPS. And I can select one here and select it for this particular sales order. If I come over to Manage, again, this should look familiar for those of you familiar with 2012. Under credit cards is the register option. So now this screen is actually modified to accommodate our Pay Fabric connector. So from here, I can go and create a new credit card, and this now, again, is using the iframe going out to Pay Fabric and bypassing any of the data processing here in AX. If I have an edit, if I have an existing one that I need to edit, likewise, I can use this screen to do that. So the register screen gets replaced with one that now connects to Pay Fabric through the iframe technology. Once that's done there, then the next step is the authorization. As you know, you can do a manual authorization in 2012. If you don't authorize manually, then pick, pack, and or ship will automatically do the authorization for you and will fail if the authorization fails. So I'm going to go do an authorization, and this is now going out to Pay Fabric and authorizing this particular sales order amount. So looks like we got a message on something else. I'm not sure what that is, but the credit card was successful on that particular one. And then just like here, we have the authorization history that is very familiar to those of you using the DOPS connector today. So that the next step would be, of course, pick, pack, and ship, and then upon ship, we capture. Let me go to another sales order over here that's closed. Let's see. I think this one I had was here. Let me go over under Manage. I don't have one available, but if we had one that had finalization available or the capture, then we would see, again, all the pieces that you're used to, the history, the level 2 and level 3 data that's being passed over to PayFabric to be passed on to the connector, to the gateway, the processor, and the issuing bank to get that level 3 data. So the takeaway I want to give you here is that the PayFabric connector that we have for credit card and for sales order and for call center is identical to what you're used to. A call center works exactly the same way, but we're leveraging, again, that common PayFabric connector that we had talked about before. So before I turn it back to Chester to go over his discussion about PCI compliance, I want to give you a little bit of heads up on our overall suite. What we've been talking about are these highlighted yellow items here in terms of bill presentment, credit cards, etc. What we offer is a full suite of items that handle banking and treasury along with the payment processing. We handle cash management automation to do automated reconciliation, both creating mapping or matching items against your existing items and clearing them, but also a very sophisticated and rules extensive solution for bringing in transactions that are not yet in AX or D365 in terms of settling those transactions or creating new transactions. So a lot available that we've done in the AR area for bringing in customer receipts that are done more and more electronically into bank reconciliation. In vendor payment automation, we have a full set of global formats serving many banks around the world. Two-way banking integration allows us to capture information coming back from the banks after we've sent transmissions to them to fully automate that process. Formats covering global requirements, whether it's SEPA, BAC, SWIFT, ACH, whatever. Email notification, very robust email notification features. Field validation rules that allow us to make sure that automated payments going out are that way. Over in the customer payment area, we have a full lockbox functionality, advanced cash application, a direct debit serving many of the automated features needed in Europe for direct debit. And then, of course, these items we've been touching on today in terms of credit card. In terms of Treasury Connect, we have global file formats. We have a nice connectivity to FXall, an automated solution for when you're needing to do currency exchange rates when you're shopping for those on the vendor side. A fully automated positive pay solution. We provide those formats at no charge, and the communication is fully round trip. One other thing I want to mention in terms of using D365 Operations Enterprise is that what we provide is really full automation and security. The way we do that is we have a bank communication hub that's outside of D365 because this, of course, is a lockdown function by Microsoft. And this hub provides not only security of your files going in and out, but also integrated bank communication. So incoming files go through the hub to D365. Outgoing files go to the hub and automatically get sent to your bank as well. So with that being said, Chester, are you ready for your part of the presentation?
So Chester, it looks like you're muted, but you should be able to undo that and get started. Let me see if I can speed that up. So Chester, can you hear us? So Chester, we are still not hearing you. Perhaps there's something on your own line that needs to be opened up. And Tim, you're hearing me, right?
I can hear you fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So we still might have an issue with Chester's audio here. Everything looks okay. Chester, I just toggled it again. Are you able to let's see if we can hear you now. I'm still not hearing you. Well, Tim, this has been a bit of a challenge. I think we're going to have to perhaps move on from Chester's part. I did notice he's answered a few questions already, so he's definitely definitely here and responding to folks.
If you'd like, I can certainly walk through his slides.
Okay.
Nothing
yeah,
like
I'll keep working with him, see if we can get him back.
Okay, great. So we worked with Chester and Nodus folks for quite a while, so I believe I know most of what he's going to speak about. Of course, nothing like having it from the master. So the Nodus Technologies Group has been involved with electronic payments for many years. They have well over 15 years, gold-level ISV, multi-year Microsoft Award winner. And they built their payment, they've been laser-focused on this payments area. And so they built integrations with SLGP, along with us, with AX, NAV, CRM, and the 365 ERP systems. So extensive experience in this area. So the first thing we wanted to talk about here was, as I briefly mentioned, in terms of security, in terms of your payments, if anything happens to your cardholder data, you, the merchant, are one responsible. Now, the PCI group has created the compliance regulations in terms of trying to help us all make sure that this doesn't occur. And as I mentioned, PCI compliance is both a software issue, that the software you get needs to be PCI compliant, but also it's a matter of you reviewing your own processes and operations. There's actually a questionnaire that you fill out, and you can be scanned and reviewed by different firms to monitor that. But the takeaway here is it's your responsibility as a merchant in order to protect your cardholder data. So what is PCI compliance? So it's an information security standard for organizations that are holding or handling cardholder data. So in any of our solutions, you're going to be involved with cardholder data. The question is, where is it stored, and then how are you maintaining it? And PCI was created by MasterCard and Visa, and of course the goal was to reduce fraud. We hear about that every day, as the news comes in. So the PCI standards were maintained by PCI SSC, but they've been enforced by the various card brands. Each card brand does their own enforcement, and of course they have the various requirements for review. The different organizations, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard and the Payment Card Industry Security Standard Council, are all bodies that are involved in maintaining and monitoring this PCI compliance. So this is an interesting slide that Chester had put forward, was that there's you would think that with these new standards, et cetera, that PCI compliance, et cetera, would cause the fraud to be committed, or the data fraud to be committed, to be less. However, we're finding that people are getting much more aggressive. On this slide really gives some statistics about the number of gigabytes that have been scanned, the number of cards that have been found that have been fraudulently, not fraudulently, but that are being used, and then the percent of users that are storing unencrypted card data. I think Chester, maybe when he gets on, if he gets on, he can speak a little more clearly about the information that he's found about this. But it really is accentuating the idea that we really need to focus in on PCI compliance and make sure that our systems and our software abides by that. And in fact, as you probably have noticed, as you're probably aware, the new chips in the card is being used much more extensively. It was actually a requirement, but as you also will notice on this slide, you've probably seen some of these readers out there where people are not quite yet ready for EMV chips. And so these companies that are doing that are actually out of compliance. And it's kind of a tell about what's going on in the industry. It's difficult to kind of necessarily move in that direction. But fortunately, working with Nodus that have been in this industry for the length of time they've had, we're very comfortable that not only they are staying PCI compliant in their software, but also what we built in connection with them. This stack really sums up the idea about PCI compliance and how it relates actually to our solutions in 2012 and D365. So if I start at the bottom in the purple layer there, this is the area where the actual hardware, your keyboard, your computers, where you're entering credit card numbers. So as you're aware, if you use the keyboard, or maybe you may not be aware, but keyboards can be attacked with malware. And what can happen is key logging software can be attached to the keyboard. So as you type that 16-digit number, if that's been attached, that number can actually be stored and then sent off to the bad guys in the background without you even knowing it. So how do you avoid that kind of an issue? There's functionality called P2P encryption, P2PE, which allows you to reduce that to nothing. So again, Nodus and SK Global provide a solution for P2P encryption. There's a pin pad available that you would attach to your USB port rather than using your keyboard. So if you have to enter 16-digit numbers, you are bypassing it, going directly to the Pay Fabric and the processor for validation. And so your PCI scope is greatly reduced. We've heard issues where if your PCI compliant questionnaire might be 300 or 400 pages long, but if you add this P2P encryption piece, you might get down to 18 or 20 pages of questions just because that you've really knocked off that little problem that could be an issue. Going up to the next level, in the green level, again, as you're capturing information in the ERP system itself, you capture it into a screen that could possibly store the information or be trapped by the data channel, but by using the iframe technology, it bypasses your ERP system and goes directly to the payment vault. So again, using the iframe is another key to PCI compliance. Going up the pyramid another level to secure cloud storage, tokenization. This is where, of course, the credit cards are stored in the Pay Fabric cloud, and a token then is stored either in the ePay portal or in AX or D365. But the tokenization technology is very important for the process. And then finally, at the peak of the pyramid, as Pay Fabric interacts with the various processing gateways, what security are they using? The TLS 1.2 standard is becoming mandatory next year. Nodus was way ahead of the game. Early this year, they had their solution already on the TLS 1.2 standard. So with that being said, let me go and just do a summary. Do we have is Chester available with audio at this point?
I don't think I've been able to get him back, unfortunately.
Okay, not a problem. So let's just now do a summary on the credit card, what we've talked about with credit cards. So overall, we've talked about Pay Fabric, a very key piece of this whole process. Nodus Technologies Pay Fabric. It's PCI compliant, reviewed by MasterCard and Visa, cloud-based credit card vault, keeping all your credit card information outside of your enterprise. It easily connects to various gateways and processors, allowing you the flexibility to move wherever you might get the best possible rate. In fact, the Nodus folks have an advisory group that allows you to shop for the various rates, so you can use them and leverage them as a resource. And then the other piece that we have is that seamless embedded integration with AX and D365. So you're not going and having to go and download a report and key it in or do some kind of import. All of our solutions are seamlessly and embedded. So the two main solutions we have are ePay Advantage. It handles your AR invoices. It's a customer portal that provides invoice presentment. Both your customers and your own internal folks, your CSRs, can go out there and provides integrated payment solution, payment processing back into AX or D365. The other solution, called Credit Card Advantage, or CCA, implements a new Pay Fabric connector replacing DOPS. And just as it's highlighted in red, Ainsley wanted me to point this out to you all, that in 2.5 months, the DOPS is going to be deprecated, so those of you using DOPS do need some kind of replacement if you want to continue to process credit cards through AX 2012. Our solutions are available in sales order and call center, both on AX 2012 or D365. Call center, of course, came into being on R3 going forward. Coming up this fall and by the end of the year, we're going to be adding enhancements to the CCA product. The first is we're going to add full functionality in the project area and service orders. So we'll be able to authorize when you get a service order set up, and then upon the service order being invoiced or the project being invoiced, we'll do the capture against the credit card. We're going to support multiple cards, so more than one card available on a sales order or project or a service order. And then we'll process those together, so we could have, say, a $1,000 sales order and put 800 on one card and 200 on another. We will also implement the credit card entry directly from AR and open transactions. So you can do that today through the portal, but this will allow direct credit card entry right in AX or D365 on the AR side. We'll also be supporting full refunds, prepayments, and voiding of authorizations, existing authorizations that just need to be voided and gone away. The functionality we've talked about today, other than the enhancements that are coming up, are available on 2012 R2 CU6 and beyond, and then all CUs on R3. And then in D365 for Enterprise, we support the 2016 fall or the 7.1 release of D365 and the recently out spring release or 7.2. So that gives a summary of where we're at. I think with that being said, I don't know if Chester's available or if there are questions. Happy to open it and send it back to you, Jason.
All right, thank you, Tim. And a few questions have come in. Tim, I don't know if you've seen those, but Chester has been dutifully answering a range of questions, starting with PCI standards and can credit card information be tokenized? I don't know if you want to add anything, but Chester did answer those questions. But if anyone in the audience does, and I think the audience should see those answers as well, but let's make an additional call for questions. We have a couple more in the queue right now. So there's a question about implementation time. So what is the implementation time for someone just needing to replace Dynamics Online Payment Services? Yeah,
it's a great question. So presumably, as you saw, all that functionality that's in there is virtually the same as it was before. All that we need to do is set up a PayFabric account, set up your your service connector piece in accounts receivable payment services, and that probably be done in a few hours. So if you already have familiarity, which it sounds like you would, with all the how things function inside AX 2012, it's going to be very, very nominal, probably less, like I said, less than half a day to do that, to get that set up and make sure you get tested out on the PayFabric site. PayFabric allows a sandbox account, so you can set up a sandbox account and do some testing there during an operation, and then once you're all set, you can go and go forward.
Are payment devices on premises supported for, for example, Verifone or Ingenico devices?
Sure. So there is again, this P2P encryption device through Bluefin is a pin pad that's available that can be swiped, and that can be used under the credit cards. I'm assuming we're talking about credit card devices on site in the back office versus in the retail environment. So what I've been referring to is in the back office, it's definitely can have this Bluefin pin-to-pin pin pads device that I talked about with P2P encryption, and that can be used to either swipe a credit card or key in the credit card itself, bypassing the keyboard.
And what global regions are supported?
Sure. So we support WorldPay and CyberSource. There was a slide on that if you go back in the presentation. It supports many processors in Europe and around the world. Again, if you have a particular area of the world that you're interested in that's outside of Europe or Australia or North America, please contact us and we'll review it for you.
Okay, for invoice presentment, does the solution include mailing of invoices if necessary?
Not per se. What you saw there was that the invoices go out to the portal. When you say mailing, if I'm thinking maybe you mean snail mailing, certainly the emailing part, as I mentioned, the invoice can be attached to a notification to the customer as it's being presented on the portal. They'd get an email of that. It does not currently support an alternate of automatically printing out invoices and or somehow stuffing them in envelopes and mailing them, but they can get it via email.
And Tim, Chester noted that the next version of ePay supports manual printing of invoices and mailing from the provider Green Shades.
Okay, terrific. Yep.
Next question. So the next question is asking how the audience can get a copy, a recording of the session, and that's pretty easy. We are recording it, and we'll be sending out a link of where to access that in the next couple of days here. All right, I'm just going to look for any additional questions that have come in. So this will be a final call, I think. All right, I'm not seeing any others. I just want to remind folks we do have a survey that pops up after you depart today. Any feedback you can give us is greatly appreciated. Thanks for bearing with us at the beginning as we got the audio issues somewhat sorted. Well, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time today. I think we're about ready to wrap up here.
Great. Thank you, Jason. It's my pleasure.
All right, thanks to everyone in the audience for your attention and for all the questions. With that, we will conclude today's event. Have a great day, everybody.